Joe Biden over the past 24 hours has had two very classic Joe Biden type gaffes. And the reason I want to talk about this is that when he was initially presumed, like if he runs, he's definitely gonna have it, and he's doing really well in the polls, that's true. But we keep saying there's a reason he didn't win the other times that he ran for the presidency, despite his Rust Belt credentials or rides the train or whatever you want to say, Uncle Joe, all that stuff. It's because he's not a good campaigner. He says ridiculous things, he gets himself in lots of trouble. And so we got two for you. First is the one that's not so bad once you hear the second. It was when he was speaking with a bunch of extremely wealthy people in New York, and he said, "You're not the other, I need you very badly." If you're trying to win a Democratic primary, don't go to a group of really rich people in New York and say, "I need you very badly." Say that to real working Americans. But that's the not so bad one. The bad one was, and this is by Edward Isaac Dover was tweeting this, tonight at that fundraiser, he recalled serving with a major segregationist Mississippi senator, saying, "I was in a caucus with James Eastland. He never called me boy, he always called me son. He imitated a Southern drawl and said, at least there was some civility, we got things done." That was one of two segregationists that he talked about the great relationship he had with them as an example of how bipartisanship and civility are possible. We can work together even if we appear to disagree.
Did you ever call him boy? Did you ever call him son? Did you ever pat him on his head? I feel like he may go, "Take your hands off my damn head." Because people in those certain positions don't deal with disrespect, but they expect other folks to. And hey, as long as he's being nice to me, again, we're playing on their field. Because you have to demand that respect. And when people start doing it like we are now, they don't like it.
Yeah, and like if it seems like, oh, you're just trying to tie him to someone kind of bad or whatever. So Joe Biden knew him, worked with him for years and years and years. So I have to assume he's familiar with some of who this guy James Eastland has said. We're gonna bring up a couple quotes. I don't even know how much of this we can show you unblurred, but let's take a look at this. To give you an idea of who this person was, I honestly, I don't wanna read any of it, but the guy referred to black people in Montgomery as slimy, juicy, unbearably stinking racial slur, African flesh eaters. He said that whites should use guns, bows and arrows, slingshots and knives in pursuit of racial slurs that I won't say. The worst, most violent racist rhetoric. According to Jamil Smith, writer for Rolling Stone, Eastland was known as the voice of the white South. He opposed the Civil Rights Act, complained of mongrelization, and spoke of black people as an inferior race. Jamil says, he may have liked you, Joe Biden. He still voted to undermine our humanity. You just disproved your whole point.
I want you to think about that last quote from, not quotes, but those things that Eastland had said in the past, right? And we're not supposed to take offense to it. We're supposed to have this positive reaction to Joe Biden working with someone like this. But we'll quickly forget that 3 years ago, 4 years ago, enough Americans were deathly offended that a large group of black folks said, Black Lives Matter. That was offensive, but not all this. Not mongrels, not shooting bows and arrows and guns and African flesh eaters. None of that is offensive. Let's work with those people. But if there's someone that's elected office, it's a black person that said Black Lives Matter, and a conservative says, hey, I worked with the guy that said Black Lives Matter, he will get his ass kicked out of office so fast, your head will spin. Just saying that's how it works. The respect only goes one direction, and it'll continue to go that direction until you demand it.
Yeah, so just awful, and you could read more about Eastland and about Talmadge, the other segregationist senator that he talked about, like his great working relationship with. Dude, Joe Biden, you're white. That's why you had a great working relationship with them. That's why they were able to bridge the gap and work with you. Not so with other people. When they were fighting against the civil rights movement, when they were fighting against Brown v. Board of Education, that's the sort of people we're talking about. Joe Biden, man, and honestly, at this point, like we're so early in the campaign, do you really think this is gonna stop? You think this train of gaffes is gonna end? I kind of doubt it. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.